Well, it's step three. Step one, hydration. Doing so much better, right? Oh, you're just watching this for the first time. That's okay too. But I can honestly say to you, but you'll get to know us and you'll meet Nurse Julie, my dear wife Julie. We met exactly 10 years ago. And the first thing Julie picked up as we were talking about things, waking water. What's waking water? I promise you this is true. At 7:17 a.m. this morning, Sunday morning, as I'm recording this, I got a text. May I please have my waking water? It just becomes a part. And of course, we don't have glasses on the table when we drink, when we eat. Come on, Tom, you can do better, and so forth. So you'll pick these things up. So we've covered hydration. And we've talked just a little bit about some of the parts that lead to inflammation problems and so forth. So we can get those things down. But now let's talk about something that probably is going to be seen as really positive, because we're going to talk now about really maximizing our metabolism. I don't know if any of us really understand what metabolism means. I certainly hope I do after all these years of studying and so forth. But obviously, it's the process that all of this good nutrition goes through that ultimately creates the energy in the body for us to do things, including digesting the food. Now, quite frankly, this one was a little bit trickier because I can think of 5 or 6 things that we want to do that are going to help us maximize our metabolism. But we said we'd only pick one, and I'm going to stick to that because I believe this strongly. For the first time, you might be surprised it took us this long, we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about one of the 3 types of food, and that's protein. Because if there's any type of food that is directly related to our metabolism, it's protein. And by the way, again, as a part of the excitement, remember last time we talked about amylin? That same incredible doctor went to work and said, okay, if we're managing the sugars, how about if we help people with a real carb burner? And so he created a product, and then he said, you know what? What happens during the day is different from what happens during the night. So he created a carb burner 24/7 product with an AM formula and another one with a PM formula. So what are you saying? I guess what I'm saying is we're doing most of the work for you. No, we're doing this part of it. We want you to do the rest. But let's get back to that. You might have said there are 3 types of food. There's only 3. Well, I'm not talking about groups. I'm not talking about anything other than the actual chemical makeup of the food. There's only 3 types. We're going to begin with protein. I've already said the word carbs in talking about these products. So number 2, we know there's carbohydrates, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. And then finally, lipids, which we generally refer to as fats. And of course, that rounds out the whole thing. Then you add fiber and different ways of looking at it. Step 3, we're going to focus on protein, because protein has the ability to affect the levels of some of the hormones. If this were a science course, we'd be talking about leptin, and we'd be talking about ghrelin, and we'd be talking about glucagon and all these things. We're not going to talk much about insulin, but that's what it's all about. What did we say in step 2? Insulin resistance is where the problem's coming in. Here we're going to talk about metabolizing protein helps balance the levels of hormones in the body. In doing so, it helps us burn calories. It helps reduce the appetite. Here's one of the parts that I like. And again, I'm not just making this up. I want you to do some research. Cuts the cravings. And I promise you, a little bit of the right kind of protein, even in the evening, might help cut that desire for some late night snacking. Oh, and most importantly, I talked about Julie going to the bone doctor and the bone place called OsteoStrong. Well, the other thing we worry about at our age is muscle. And so we know that a good amount of protein, good, clean protein, is going to help us reduce the muscle loss. I'm going to stop for just a second because I can picture a couple of you out there right now. Maybe you're the one and you're saying, I don't eat meat. I don't eat protein. Well, yes, you do, but I think I get your point. And guess what? That is so okay. You won't believe it, because I wrote a book, and I'll be referring to it a little bit, that we simply call the eating equation for the most part. And in here, I had done some research at the time. Look at some of the great sources of protein. I say look at, and then I'm going to tell you about it, right? But look at some of these. Black beans, chickpeas. Are you thinking hummus? Lentils, oatmeal, macadamia nuts, cashews, almonds. Oh, boy, did I have a great bowl at a chop house last night. Quinoa, spinach, broccoli, hemp seed, kidney beans, nut butters, wild rice. I hope I haven't offended you. Those are great sources of protein. Now, we say protein, perhaps, being a farm boy from Minnesota, and I might think my eggs, of course, that we have. We're careful about buying a good, healthy kind. We're very careful about buying lean cuts of meat, and we do a lot with fish and a lot with chicken and so forth. Well, what's the point? I want to get protein throughout the day. If we were going to name this step, I believe I would name it Plan for Protein. In the book, we say the overall thing here is called Plan to Succeed, or Planning for Success. So let's plan on getting some protein. Do you like having an egg in the morning, or maybe even a hard-boiled egg or something? Do you like some of these ideas that we threw out there as far as the nuts? How about cashews? Really? My favorite, macadamia, whatever it might be. Now, I'm going to take you back, 22 years, when we owned a bunch of weight loss stores all across the country. We were headquartered in Kansas City. And people came to us at that point and said, what's a great way to get some good, clean, lean protein, for instance, midday? We said, do you have a deli close by, or do you have a grocery store close by? We had grocery stores back there real close to our weight loss center. We said, find out which of the meats, like a turkey or even a ham, are nitrate free. In other words, get something as clean as you can, slice it thinly, maybe a real good piece of whole grain bread, some thin sliced ham or turkey or chicken or beef, whatever it might be, and some real good hard cheese sliced on top of that. Make yourself a little open-faced sandwich for lunch. The protein and even a little fiber. And of course, most of us, if we're on any of the popular weight loss programs today, know that protein is very common as a part of the evening meal. Well, summarize, where are we going with all of this? First of all, I do want to tell you that I have had so many happy people this year who are starting their day with 2 of the capsules of the metabolism booster called PREVAIL 24/7 Carb Burner. And then just before going to bed, you know what? This is incredible stuff. There is an amino acid in this particular bottle, L-theanine. Oh my goodness, that'll help you sleep. I have people saying, I sleep like never before, and I'm taking something that's supposed to be a carb burner. You see how much fun we have here to learn these things? We had the emulant. Now we've got the same person creating some more of these sugar managers for us, and we have the carb burners. But in summary, here's the point. We're going to plan for protein, whether I eat 2 times a day or 3 times, and that'll come up in a future class. I'm going to make sure that I get some nice, lean, clean protein, but I want to leave you with this thought. There's a real good chance it'll be plant. It'll be plant-based protein. We have an incredible protein at PREVAIL called P4, and we have a combination of all the different proteins. We could have talked about that for a whole session. Oh, we will sometime soon. Okay, we're going to maximize our metabolism for this week. And we're going to make sure that we're planning for and getting our protein throughout the day. Now, what about the rest of the food? Step number 4 says we're going to equalize the nutrients. What does that mean? You'll have to come back to find out. See you then.